the tradition tells us.
We speak to you as Benedictine monks, and our message to you is that we are the inheritors, you and I, in this time, of a long and rich spiritual tradition. And it's a tradition that has been passed on and has survived for hundreds of years, despite many attacks on it, despite many misunderstandings of it, and despite simple neglect.
The tradition that we speak out of is the tradition of the prayer of John Cassian in the desert, and the Benedictine tradition, particularly as enshrined in the Cloud of Unknowing, written in the 14th century in England, and the writings of Abbot Chapman in the 20th century in England. All that tradition over the centuries says to us that the supreme task for every life that would be fully alive, fully human, the supreme task is to be as open as we can be to that life of Jesus within us. Consider for a moment what the tradition tells us. The tradition tells us that Jesus lives in our hearts. We've all read that in the scriptures. We all know it at one level. Listen to St. Paul here. Continually, while still alive, we are being surrendered into the hands of death for Jesus' sake, so that the life of Jesus also may be revealed in this mortal body of ours. And that's the conviction of the early church, that the life of Jesus is being progressively and more profoundly revealed within each one of us. Now that we have to keep absolutely clear, because Christianity isn't in essence a theory or a theology. It is in essence openness to the person of Jesus Christ. And in that openness, being taken by Him to the Father. Christianity is the religion of transcendence, transcending our own limited life and entering into the limitless life of God. Now, that being the essential theology, what is our response to that? What does the tradition tell us about the way? The tradition tells us we must learn to be disciplined. We must learn to leave self behind, which is another way of saying we must learn to leave the limitations of self behind. And we must be open to the being of God. And make no mistake about it, Christianity proclaims an astonishing doctrine. St. Paul writes, "Indeed, it's for your sake that all things are ordered, so that as the abounding grace of God is shared by more and more, the greater may be the chorus of thanksgiving that ascends to the glory of God." This is the doctrine that we have to be open to. This is the person we have to be open to. And the tradition tells us that we must learn discipline and we must learn simplicity. Hence, the need for our daily meditation every morning and every evening. And during the time of our meditation, to learn to be profoundly silent. And that we do by reciting our word. The author of The Cloud of Unknowing says, "Confine the whole activity of your being to the recital of one little word." The recitation of the word will teach you many things. It will teach you humility. It will teach you poverty. That you surrender all the richness of words, all your ideas, to be open to the supreme reality, the infinity of God that cannot be captured in any concept, in any idea, in any intellectual formula, but that can be encountered in your own heart, in the depth of your being, where you are open to the being of God. Meditating is not thinking about God, not thinking about theology or thinking about religion. Meditating is something much greater than that. It's being with God. Now, when you begin, you have to take that on faith. And you take it on the faith of godly men and women throughout the ages, who have confronted that basic theology, that Jesus lives and that He lives in our hearts. They've confronted it and they've sought to make the truth of it the main thrust of their lives. And that's their tradition. When we sit down to meditate, we put ourselves in touch with a great and glorious tradition of men and women who throughout the ages have understood that the greatest wisdom is to leave self behind. Men and women who have understood the words of Jesus, "Unless you leave self behind, you cannot be my disciple." Men and women who have set out on this path whereby we leave behind all our own limitations and enter into the infinite generosity of God's love.